Hey guys, Eric and Joshua here with our belated, we know we're a little late on this, Rewind Theater for the Arrow Season 4 trailer.
Titled So Cool.
Titled So Cool. We're beginning with our reader's favorite element of the show, Elicity.
Elicity.
But, you know, we should talk about the fact that, look, the way Season 3 ended, it was like a happy ending for Oliver.
They drove off in the sunset. Now they're living the suburban life. We know that this is 5 months after the end of the last season. They seem to be doing pretty well. Still sporting that green hoodie. You know?
Yeah. So it'll be, they're a happy couple, but obviously something will bring him back to the city. But, they've talked about this season will be a little lighter. It won't be quite as dark and grim, so maybe he can actually just be in a nice relationship for a little while without all of the issues.
Hopefully without all of the crying.
Yeah, without the crying, which Emily Bett-Rickards has gone on record saying she would like less crying, and I think we're going to get it, less crying. The producers have said this season, less Felicity crying. Here's what we should say. We're going to go into spoilers that have been officially revealed, the things the producers have talked about on the record. So here we go. Let's talk about some stuff right now. We have been told that Wendy Miracle, one of the producers, told us, obviously, Ray Palmer's coming back. He's part of Legends of Tomorrow. But right now, look, Star City, they've given it the comic book name.
Yes, that was his vision for the city, to change it from Starling City to Star City. And so I guess upon his death, that explosion, I say death with air quotes.
Yeah.
That explosion at the end of last season when he was working on the Atom suit, they finally did make the change to Star City, and he's been memorialized.
But he will return for that spinoff, and we've been told Felicity will be involved in how he comes back and bringing him back somehow.
Yeah, she steps on something, and he's like, "Hey, I'm walking here," and
right.
It was him.
There you go.
So this is Magneto making his jump from the Marvel universe to the DC universe. No, I'm just kidding. This is John Diggle.
John Diggle in his new costume, which has not been beloved by people. I will say the big difference from the photos, though, is that that visor is darkened, so you can't just see who he is behind it.
The reason to give him the mask was he's like, hey, everyone else has a mask to hide their identity. If you're just going out there with everyone can see your face, so you need to protect your identity. So to have it be so open where his face is, that
would have been a little silly.
Not a big concealer.
Yeah, it's very similar to how the Atom photos had you could see his full face, but then in the show itself it was darkened. Yeah. And we're getting the new Team Arrow minus Arrow himself, but Thea being a big part of this now. Actually part of the team, fighting alongside them as Speedy. We saw her on the motorcycle earlier, but I think on the back of Canary's motorcycle. Speaking of whom, we should mention just briefly in these fight scenes, well, I won't go back to a part where she's in, but she's not wearing a wig anymore, Laurel, as Canary.
Yeah, her hair is now canary blonde.
Canary blonde, so she can just keep it that way. And this is our first look in the show itself of the new Arrow suit.
Yeah, and in the narration, they're saying, maybe you can be a different kind of hero, right? And sort of embrace like the darkness, right? So instead of being just Arrow, which has been this a hero who will murder people, who will shoot people, and is very, very dark, they're saying now he can be Green Arrow. They didn't say that in the trailer, but that's what they're implying.
They don't use the name Green Arrow in the trailer, but they've been explicit since Comic-Con that he will now be Green Arrow on the show, and the costume kind of reflects that. Yeah, it's a pretty dark green still, but even the look of it with the short sleeves and whatnot.
It's more like an armored superhero kind of look to it.
Yeah.
Than the traditional suit we've been seeing.
Nice little look at the team communicating. You can see Oliver on the screen there. I don't know if he's in duress or he's just saying, "Hey guys, what's up?"
He's just Skyping in.
Yeah,
he don't come in today.
I don't. It's one of those things where you're wondering if the trailer's telling you the full story because Canary seems to toss something that blows up in the back of a bus that we've got Diggle in, so I don't know if she wants to hurt Diggle. I don't think so.
I think he's just standing there like a badass, and just He's like, yeah, it's exploding, whatever.
We should mention, though, that these crates around him, Cord.
Yeah, Ted Cord, like a la the Blue Beetle.
Not the first time they've Easter egged this character on Arrow, but it seems like they got to introduce him at this point. But this is also not the only time we're going to see this truck in this trailer with those Cord boxes or whatever they're containing.
Oh, wait, I just said he was standing there like a badass, but no, he fell over.
Yeah. Well, until Canary had to mess it up.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I mentioned earlier that we saw Thea riding on the back of Canary's motorcycle. Here she has her own motorcycle. So it seems maybe Oliver is like, get her own motorcycle when he comes back to town.
He's just cutting checks for motorcycles when he comes back.
Right. Speedy Mobile. Hey, a cigarette? Who smokes cigarettes in this world? Yay!
Hey, John Constantine.
John Constantine. So yes, Matt Ryan returning from his canceled show as John Constantine, but kind of this very cool thing of retroactively connecting that show to the Arrowverse, the Arrow Flash universe. We should mention that they have said for now it's just a 1-episode appearance. So don't
Yes,
expect
and we'll
them to
get to it later in the trailer to why he's coming back, to what
Right.
they said. I noticed his hair is also canary blonde, which is it looks really good on him. A little blonder than I remember in his show.
Maybe the two of them go and get their hair done together.
Yeah, but I'm just going to say, just real quick, it's so cool that they're bringing him into this show. That's crazy that a show can be canceled, but they're saving the character and using him again.
Yeah, it is very cool. And then, like I said, the retroactive sort of connecting. Now, here's a curious moment. What you doing, Quentin? Quentin Lance just bashing in Diggle's head from behind.
Yeah, does he know Diggle's association? Because he knows...
It's so weird because, yeah, what Quentin knows and doesn't know is always a little murky here. Because obviously he knows Felicity directly works with them. I'm trying to remember if he knows Diggle, but no matter what, I mean, this seems like a pretty far place to go.
Yeah.
Even though he's had his ups and downs with Team Arrow in the past. Getting our look at Katrina Law returning as Nyssa with last we saw, she was bowing before Malcolm Merlyn.
Not happy about it.
But it doesn't seem like things are going well.
And in the weirdest deal ever, Malcolm Merlyn is now the head of the League
He's
of
Ra's al
Assassins.
Ghul.
He's the demon's head.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here is the introduction of Echo Kellum as Curtis Holt, a.k.a. DC Comics Mr. Terrific. Now, not yet, but Arrow and Flash are pretty good at paying off. If we introduce the alter ego of someone, they're going to get that costume eventually.
Oh, yeah. That would be really cool. I like this, like a young, fresh face for Mr. Terrific. And he has a lot of life, a lot of energy in this trailer, so I'm looking forward to seeing him.
And they've talked about him and Felicity will be very much sort of a pair working together. He's introduced in the 2nd episode of the season.
Science buddies.
Science buddies.
Machine gun buddies, maybe, too?
Yeah. So here's Felicity and the machine gun. I mean, I do like that she's not quite knows what she's doing with it, but she is shooting it. Clearly, there's a moment where she needs to defend herself.
She's shooting at Oliver. No, I'm just kidding.
Something goes wrong here for Oliver.
He's getting hit by a car.
He's getting hit by a car. Again, a lot going on with Quentin, actually. I was joking beforehand that the I almost said Starling, but Star City Police Department, never a safe place on this show. So once again, looks to be coming under attack. We're not sure who those guys work for, but we think we have a good idea. Because here's who is this gentleman?
This is Damien Darhk.
Damien Darhk, played by a great actor, Neil McDonough. I think in the comic book realm, we know him as Dum Dum Dugan in the Marvel movies and TV series.
Yes, he's jumping over.
Over.
Damien Darhk, we know he's involved with Hive in the comic books, which they sort of teased last season.
That,
in the show, they're saying he was up for the role of Ra's al Ghul, of like the demon's head.
Mm-hmm.
Then he started his own like splinter cells, like a little hive of followers, and now he's back and he looks like he's making a play for Star City.
Yeah, and here he bursts into this meeting that Quentin is in, so we're guessing this happens probably before he then has those guys attack the police station, where whatever Quentin doesn't agree to here, probably is wrong. Now here's a part we were discussing. He grabs this guy who looks to be one of his soldiers, and the guy's reaction is pretty big. We have seen there, not in this preview, but there's another shorter preview where he freezes an arrow in the air and shows that he does seem to have actual powers. So we're curious, is he doing something to this guy here?
Yeah, in the comics, I was always under the impression, well, in the comics he has like technology that he's just a tech whiz. So I'm wondering if he doesn't have real powers like we'd see in The Flash, but maybe some technology-based powers. Obviously with Mr. Terrific, with Ted Kord stuff, like all these like tech-based heroes around, I think that maybe he might be doing that. Or not, and he's like giving this guy a seizure by touching him.
Right. And the producers did say, when I even asked about the possibility of Constantine before it was confirmed, they said, Damien Darhk would bring more supernatural element to the show, thus Constantine would kind of bleed into that. Of course, that's not to say he could still be faking it, And here is, we'll see a little bit more of that confrontation there. Once again, Star City, lots of chaos.
In a panic.
Here's another new character we're going to meet, Jerry Ryan from Star Trek. And she is playing a family friend of Oliver Queen's.
7 of 9?
7 of 9
herself.
Oh my gosh. An old friend of
7
the
of
Queen
9
family.
is the Borg are gonna take over Star City.
Yeah, who is running for mayor. Right now we've only heard she's appearing once, but it seems like she could be more of an important character, unless she dies horribly. Because see that guy, the young man standing to her left? Well, we're going to get to him in another second here as we see more of Damien Darhk's plan. A flashback Oliver, although we're not sure again.
With that wig.
We'll see how the flashbacks go this season after last year. And a little bit more of the team. Now, here's that guy we were talking about. This is the guy who was standing next to Jerry Ryan earlier. And this is an actor named Alexander Calvert playing Lonnie Machen, or Machen, I'm not sure how to pronounce it on the show, but he is DC Comics' Anarky, a big Batman villain in the comics, actually.
And yeah, so obviously they use a lot of elements of Batman in Arrow, and this is just another one of he'd be a good person for Arrow because Arrow's trying to like set the city right,
Right.
and Anarchy has its own way of upsetting like the social and political and economical balance of things to try and make it what he feels is how it should be.
And Neil McDonough gets to say Anarchy here to him with a, hey, maybe that should be my name. That's...
I dub thee Anarchy.
And obviously, flashback Ollie having another encounter with the Wall here.
The Wall, Amanda Waller.
Yeah, and then we're getting a little bits of hints about the duress. That we left the season with Diggle and Oliver still having issues. Felicity and him worked things out. Obviously, it worked things out very well. But there's still going to be some of that problems between Diggle and Arrow, even as they fight alongside each other again.
There you go. There's that buddy dynamic going on. Tech buddies.
And this I'm very happy to see because one thing that seemed really dropped last season was that if they brought Thea back with the pit, something would be wrong with her. And what that seemed to be was a half episode of her having her memory loss, and then she was fine. This seems to come back in a big way here because, look, brother versus sister. It looks like Arrow versus Speedy will happen, and it seems tied in to something being wrong with her now that she's come back from the pit.
Yeah, and her in action looks awesome. She looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and here's Nyssa and Malcolm. Obviously, this was not meant to last very well. Her working for him didn't seem like that will go great.
And you have to wonder why they're fighting. You're thinking that, well, we'll get to it in a second, actually, I won't say
yeah,
it, but
more of the Speedy Ollie fight here. That's a kind of cool.
Team Arrow,
Arrow
busting through the window. Oh,
hey,
here we go. Okay.
Here we go. And here's a big reveal that we knew was coming.
Yeah. So this is Sarah Lance, who died at the beginning of season 3. It was a big shock. It was pretty much the whole the thrust of season 3. And now she looks like she's alive again thanks to the Lazarus Pit. And that's why Constantine was brought in. We think this will be his episode. He'll have something to do with this.
Yeah, the producer
maybe
confirmed that. She actually said he will be directly involved in this episode as far as what brings Sarah back. But what's curious here is he's not nowhere to be seen. Malcolm seems to be welcoming Sarah, but Nissa's at sword point. So we're guessing that fight might be Nyssa trying to stop Sarah from coming back. It's her beloved, but she fears what she'll come back has, maybe. That whole they come back wrong.
Yeah, you come back pretty insane and a little different.
And she's been dead for like a year. That can't be good.
Yeah, and this also sets up that she'll be in Legends of Tomorrow, the spin-off team-up show.
And now we're back in what we're guessing is earlier in the same sequence that we saw. Unless these maybe it's not. Maybe it's a different. Maybe these cord things just get around. These
I
cord
bet
boxes.
they were stolen in that earlier scene or something like that.
Diggle fails to stop them.
So yeah, this scene actually is in the other preview is where Damien puts up his hand and stops the arrow mid-flight, which made us think he has some sort of powers.
Yeah, but we will find out very soon in early October when Arrow returns with Felicity kicking some dudes. So thanks for listening, guys. We'll have plenty more on Arrow here at IGN October 7th.